Imagine standing on a rugged cliff at the edge of the world. Before you stretches a vast, endless expanse of blue, calm, shimmering, almost peaceful. Now imagine that this serene body of water covers more than 30% of the Earth's surface, holds more than half of the planet's free water, and contains some of the most violent storms and deepest trenches known to humanity. And yet, despite its immense power and unpredictability, we call it the Pacific Ocean. Pacific, a word that literally means peaceful. So why would the largest and arguably most powerful ocean on Earth be named for calmness? The answer takes us back more than 500 years, to an age of exploration, ambition, and extraordinary risk. Let's explore right here on History of Simple Things. To understand the name, we have to travel to the early 16th century and meet the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan. In 1519, Magellan set sail under the Spanish flag on an ambitious mission to find a westward route to the Spice Islands. Europe at the time was obsessed with spices like cloves and nutmeg, and controlling trade routes meant immense wealth and power. The journey was dangerous and largely uncharted. Magellan's fleet of 5 ships crossed the Atlantic Ocean and eventually reached the southern tip of South America. There they encountered a treacherous and winding passage now known as the Strait of Magellan. The strait was harsh, cold, and filled with unpredictable currents. It took more than a month for the ships to navigate through it. But what happened next changed geography forever. After emerging from the strait in 1520, Magellan and his crew found themselves staring at an enormous body of water that no European expedition had previously crossed from this direction. Unlike the turbulent waters they had just endured, this ocean appeared surprisingly calm. For weeks, the ships sailed across relatively smooth seas with favorable winds. Compared to the storms and brutal conditions of the Atlantic and the strait behind them, this new ocean felt gentle. Magellan was so struck by its apparent tranquility that he named it Mar Pacífico, which translates from Spanish to peaceful sea, and that name stuck. However, history reveals a bit of irony. The Pacific Ocean is anything but peaceful. In fact, it is home to some of the most powerful natural forces on Earth. It contains the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on the planet, located near the Mariana Trench. It spans more than 11,000 meters deep, so deep that Mount Everest could fit inside it with room to spare. The Pacific is also surrounded by the Ring of Fire, a massive zone of tectonic activity responsible for frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Countries bordering the Pacific, such as Japan, Indonesia, and Chile, regularly experience seismic events because of this volatile geological belt. Then there are the typhoons and hurricanes. The Pacific generates more tropical cyclones than any other ocean basin. In the western Pacific alone, massive typhoons can grow to enormous sizes, bringing destructive winds and rainfall. So why did Magellan experience such calm waters? The answer lies partly in timing and location. When Magellan entered the Pacific, he likely encountered a seasonal period of relatively stable weather near the equator. Early explorers did not yet understand global weather systems like trade winds or El Niño patterns. They judged the ocean based on immediate experience. For Magellan, those first weeks of smooth sailing defined the ocean's character. But there's another layer to the story. Naming something is an act of perception. Magellan had just survived one of the most grueling parts of his voyage. The Strait of Magellan was cold, chaotic, and terrifying. By contrast, the open waters beyond it must have felt like a blessing. The calmness wasn't just meteorological, it was emotional. The Pacific represented hope, relief, and the promise of a successful route to Asia. In that moment, peaceful was the most fitting word he could find. Interestingly, although Magellan initiated the expedition, he never completed the full circumnavigation of the globe. He was killed in 1521 in the Philippines during a conflict with local warriors. The voyage was eventually completed by one of his ships, the Victoria, under the command of Juan Sebastian Elcano. Nevertheless, Magellan's naming of the Pacific endured. Maps began to label the vast ocean as the Pacific Ocean, and over time, the term became standard in European geography and eventually worldwide. It's fascinating to think about how a single moment in history can shape our understanding of the world for centuries. If Magellan had encountered storms instead of calm seas, the Pacific might have a very different name today. Perhaps it would be known for its power rather than its peace. But names once established tend to persist. They become part of language, education, and culture. The Pacific Ocean today touches the shores of continents including Asia, Australia, North and South America, and even Antarctica. It is larger than all the Earth's land masses combined. It supports diverse ecosystems, from vibrant coral reefs to deep-sea hydrothermal vents. It drives global weather patterns and plays a critical role in regulating Earth's climate. And yet, despite its immense scale and dynamic nature, its name still reflects one explorer's brief encounter with calm waters more than 5 centuries ago. So the next time you hear the words Pacific Ocean, remember that the name is less about scientific accuracy and more about human perspective. It is a reminder of the age of exploration, when vast parts of the world were mysteries waiting to be charted. It tells the story of courage, misjudgment, survival, and discovery. Most of all, it shows how history can hinge on a single impression, how a few weeks of smooth sailing can define an ocean that spans nearly half the globe. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.